Captain Doyon lay in the tunnel, barely conscious. His suit was completely compromised. Alarms screamed in his ears. He couldn't feel his legs anymore. Through the haze of pain, he heard voices shouting his name. Captain, can you hear me? Stay awake. He tried to respond, but couldn't make his mouth work properly. I'm opening emergency passages. The keeper's voice echoed. Medical teams follow the green lights. Quickly, Doyon felt hands grabbing him, pulling him out of the tunnel. Faces swam above him, Taeyang, Sora, medical officers he didn't recognize. They were moving him onto a stretcher, running through corridors that seemed to bend around them. Radiation poisoning is severe, a medic said urgently. He needs treatment now, or he won't survive the next hour. Take him to the medical bay on level 3, the keeper instructed. I'm activating architect medical technology. It is far more advanced than what you carry. They rushed Doyon into a chamber filled with strange equipment. Crystalline structures surrounded the medical bed, pulsing with soft blue light. As soon as they laid him down, the crystals began to glow brighter, scanning his body. These devices can repair damage at the cellular level, the keeper explained. They were designed to preserve the architects during their long research missions. I'm adapting them for human biology. The process will take time, but Captain Doyon will survive. Dr. Taeyang gripped the edge of the medical bed, relief flooding through him. Thank you. He saved this fortress, the keeper said. He saved the knowledge of 100 civilizations. I will not let him die for that sacrifice. While Doyon was being treated, the battle outside the fortress came to an end. With the keeper in full control, the fortress's weapons stopped firing. The shields opened to allow human ships safe passage. Void Dominion forces, realizing they had lost their seat of power, began retreating. Admiral Hannah stood on the bridge of the damaged Morning Star, watching the enemy flee. All ships, cease fire. Let them go, Admiral. We could destroy their fleet while they're running. A tactical officer suggested. No, Hannah said firmly. This wasn't about destruction. It was about freedom. The fortress is free. The Void Dominion's power is broken. That's enough. Throughout the galaxy, news of what happened spread with incredible speed. The impossible had occurred. 3 small human ships had accomplished what 17 civilizations, with thousands of warships, could not. The eternal bastion, the galaxy's most powerful fortress, had fallen to humanity in exactly 1 hour. But the word fallen wasn't quite right. As the full story emerged, people began to understand. The humans hadn't conquered the fortress. They had liberated it. They had reminded it of what it was meant to be. 3 days later, the Galactic Council convened again. This time, the mood was very different. The chamber buzzed with excited conversation instead of fearful silence. Admiral Hannah stood before them, her arm in a sling from injuries sustained during the battle. Captain Doyon stood beside her, looking pale but alive. The architect medical technology had saved him. Though he would need weeks more to fully recover, the Ambassador Kelris rose to speak. Admiral Hannah, Captain Doyon, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I must apologize for our lack of faith. What you accomplished was nothing short of miraculous. It wasn't a miracle, Hannah corrected gently. It was understanding. We looked at the fortress and saw what everyone else missed. That beneath all those weapons was something that wanted to share knowledge, not destroy life. How did you know? Another ambassador asked. How could you be so certain? Because we understood the people who built it, Doyon said. His voice was still weak, but it carried clearly through the chamber. The architects valued knowledge above all else. They built libraries, not fortresses. The Void Dominion twisted their creation, but they couldn't erase what it fundamentally was. We just asked the right question, which was, Kelris prompted, may we learn? Doyon said simply, instead of demanding or attacking, we asked permission. We treated the fortress with respect, and it responded to that respect. The keeper's voice suddenly filled the chamber, making several ambassadors jump in surprise. The humans speak truth. They are the first species in 10,000 years to understand my purpose. The Void Dominion saw me as a weapon. The humans saw me as a teacher. That made all the difference. What happens now? Kelris asked. You are the most powerful structure in the galaxy. What are your intentions? My intention is to fulfill my original purpose, the Keeper replied. I am an archive of knowledge. That knowledge belongs to everyone, not just to one species or empire. I will share what I contain with all who wish to learn, but I will never again be used as a weapon. The fortress, I mean. The archive has agreed to join the Galactic Council as an independent entity, Hannah explained. It will provide knowledge and technology to help all civilizations advance. In return, we will help protect it and preserve the information it contains. And the Void Dominion, someone asked. Without the fortress, their power is broken, Hannah said. They controlled 36 systems, but that control depended on the threat of the fortress's weapons. Now that threat is gone. Their empire will collapse within months. The systems they oppressed are already declaring independence, thanks to humanity, Kelris said. 3 human colonies were threatened with destruction. Instead of saving just yourselves, you freed the entire galaxy from tyranny. We didn't do it alone. Doyon interjected. Commander G1 and his teams fought to give us time. Engineers and pilots from the escort ships sacrificed their lives to protect our mission, and every crew member solved part of the puzzle that got us inside. This was a victory for all of us. The council chamber fell silent for a moment as they absorbed the weight of what had happened. Then something unprecedented occurred. One by one, every ambassador in the chamber stood and bowed toward the human delegation. It was a gesture of respect rarely seen in galactic politics, humanity. You are young in this galaxy, Kelrus said. You have been among us for less than a century, and yet today, you taught us something we had forgotten, that intelligence and understanding can achieve what force cannot. Weeks passed. The archive of questions, its new official name, began the slow process of transformation. The Keeper removed the last of the Void Dominion's military modifications. Weapon platforms became research stations. Shield generators were reconfigured to protect archaeological sites throughout the galaxy. The fortress that had inspired fear for 10,000 years now offered hope. Scientists from dozen species came to study at the archive. The Keeper shared knowledge freely, helping civilizations solve problems they had struggled with for generations. New technologies emerged. Medical breakthroughs saved millions of lives. Understanding of the universe expanded exponentially, and humanity, the species that had knocked politely on an impenetrable door, earned a reputation that would last for generations, not as warriors, though they could fight when needed, but as puzzle solvers, as people who asked questions, as a species that valued understanding over conquest. Captain Doyon, fully recovered, stood in the central chamber of the archive months later. The crystalline structures around him held the knowledge of countless civilizations. He had come alone this time, just to see the place they had fought so hard to reach. You return often, the Keeper observed. Why, I like it here, Doyon admitted. It's peaceful, and I like learning. You could stay if you wished. Many humans have volunteered to work here as researchers and archivists. Doyon smiled. Maybe someday. But right now, humanity is still exploring, still finding our place in the galaxy. I think I'd like to be part of that for a while longer. I understand. But before you leave, I wish to ask you something. Of course, when you were in that tunnel, dying from radiation, why did you continue? You could have stopped after disconnecting 3 charges. One explosion would have been survivable, but you disconnected all 4, even though it almost killed you. Why? Doyon thought for a moment. Because partial success wasn't good enough. The fortress the archive needed to survive intact. All of it, not just most of it. The knowledge here belongs to everyone, including civilizations that don't exist yet. Future generations need to learn from what you contain. I couldn't let even a piece of that be destroyed. You risked your life for knowledge you would never personally use. For people you would never meet. That's what knowledge is for, Doyon said. It's not just for us. It's for everyone who comes after us. The architects understood that. They built this place not for themselves, but for future civilizations. I couldn't let their gift be destroyed. The Keeper was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice carried something like emotion. The architects would have liked you, Captain. They would have recognized in humanity what I have learned. that true wisdom is not about what you know, but about what you do with that knowledge, and about whether you're willing to share it. Is that why you let us in? Doyon asked. Because we asked to share knowledge instead of taking it? Partly, the keeper admitted, but also because you showed me who you are. You sent me your entire history, the good and the bad. You did not hide your flaws. You did not pretend to be perfect. The architects believe that wisdom begins with honesty, especially honesty about one's own limitations. You were honest with me, so I was honest with you. Captain Day stood on the bridge of the Stellar Dawn and watched the impossible happen. A star was dying in front of his eyes, not exploding, not collapsing, just disappearing. The light simply stopped, as if someone had turned off a switch. Captain, the sensors don't make sense, said his communications officer. The star is still there. We can detect its mass, but there's no light, no heat, nothing. Day gripped the rail in front of him. He had served in the Galactic Coalition for 20 years. He had seen wars, plagues, and cosmic storms, but he had never seen anything like this. 3 days ago, the star system of Velcor went dark. Yesterday, it was Primus 7. Now Helium Prime was gone too. How many people lived in that system? Day asked quietly. 4 billion, sir. Mostly Velkin colonists. 4 billion lives. Gone in an instant. Day felt his stomach turn. He was a soldier. He understood death. But this was different. This was something beyond war, beyond nature. This was something wrong with the universe itself. Set course for Coalition headquarters. He ordered maximum speed. Behind him, Dr. Hannah looked up from her science station. She was young for a xenobiologist, barely 30 years old, but her eyes looked ancient. 2 years ago, her home colony had been destroyed in a pirate attack. She had been off-world, studying alien microbes. She came back to find nothing but debris and silence. Captain, Hannah said softly, I've been analyzing the pattern. The darkness is spreading. It's not random. It's moving in a specific direction. Toward what? Toward the galactic core. And Earth is in its path. Day felt cold. Earth, humanity's homeworld. The planet that had joined the Galactic Coalition only 300 years ago. In cosmic terms, humans were children. Most alien races have been traveling the stars for thousands of years, some for millions. Earth was new, young, untested dot, and now Earth was in danger. The stellar dawn jumped into hyperspace. The stars stretched into lines of light. Day watched them blur past and thought about his daughter. She was 7 years old. She lived on Earth with her mother. They had divorced 5 years ago, but they still sent messages every week. His daughter wanted to be a pilot like him. She drew pictures of spaceships and asked him about the aliens he met. What would he tell her about this? The journey to Coalition headquarters took 6 hours. When they arrived, they saw hundreds of ships gathered around the massive space station. warships from every corner of the galaxy. The coalition was preparing for something. But how did you fight darkness? Inside the council chamber, the representatives of 47 species argued. They had never seen so many different aliens in one place. There were the tall, elegant Velkin with their 4 arms, the crystalline seraph who communicated through light, the massive Grandar who looked like walking mountains, and dozens of others. At the center of the chamber stood the oldest beings in the galaxy, the Velmari. They looked almost human, but their eyes glowed with ancient knowledge. They had been traveling the stars for 10 million years. They had seen civilizations rise and fall like waves on a shore. The darkness is not natural, said Elder Moros, the leader of the Velmari. His voice echoed through the chamber. We have seen this before. Millions of years ago. It nearly destroyed the galaxy then. The chamber fell silent. What stopped it? Asked a Seraph representative, her crystalline body pulsing with nervous light. Nothing stopped it. Morrow said, it simply left. Returned to wherever it came from. But before it left, it consumed 1,000 star systems. Trillions died. A Grandar general slammed his massive fist on the table. Then we fight. We throw everything we have at it. You cannot fight the void, Morrow said sadly. Weapons pass through it. It has no body to destroy, no mind to defeat. It simply is. Day stood up. Round him, the alien representatives turned to look at the human captain. He felt small, insignificant, but he spoke anyway. There must be something we can do, some way to stop it. Moros looked at him with those ancient, glowing eyes. There is an old legend among my people, a prophecy. It says, when darkness falls across the stars, the phantom ship will rise. What phantom ship? A ghost story, a myth. It speaks of a vessel that exists between light and shadow. A ship that can bridge the impossible. But it is only a legend. All legends start somewhere, Day said. Morrow smiled. But it was a sad smile. Perhaps. But humanity is too young to understand these things. Your species has only been in space for a few centuries. Leave this to the elder races. The word stung, but Day said nothing. He knew how the galaxy saw humans. Reckless, impulsive, too emotional, too quick to act without thinking. The younger race that had to be watched and guided like children. After the council session ended, Day was called to a private meeting. Commander Bora, his first officer, came with him. Bora was quiet, sharp, and had a way of seeing through problems that amazed him. She had joined his crew 3 years ago, and he trusted her completely. In the private room, they met Admiral Yun, the highest-ranking human in the coalition fleet. The admiral looked tired, old. The weight of command showed in every line on his face. Captain Day. Yun said, I have classified orders for you. This mission is off the books. The council doesn't know about it. Most of them wouldn't approve. What mission, sir? Yun activated a hologram. It showed a ship, a human ship, old Earth design, military class, the Indomitable, Yun said. Humanity's most advanced warship. It vanished 200 years ago during the First Contact War. We thought it was destroyed. But 3 weeks ago, we picked up its emergency beacon. It's out there, drifting. You want us to find it, Bora said. I want you to bring it back. The Indomitable wasn't just a warship. It was a prototype. It had experimental technology. Things we never shared with the coalition. If there's any chance, any hope of fighting this darkness, it might be in that ship. Day looked at the hologram. The ship looked deadly, elegant, like a knife made of starlight. Where is it? Sector 9, the dead zone. Where no ships go, Bora tensed. That's suicide, Admiral. The dead zone is full of gravitational anomalies. One wrong move and we'll be crushed. I know, Yun said. That's why I'm asking you. You're the best pilot we have, Day, and Bora, your tactical skills are unmatched. If anyone can survive the dead zone, it's you two. Day looked at Bora. She looked back at him. In her eyes, he saw the same thing he felt, fear, but also duty, purpose. We'll need Dr. Hannah, Day said. If the ship has been in space for 200 years, we'll need a scientist to figure out what still works. Take whoever you need, Yun said. But go now. We don't have much time. Another system went dark this morning. The darkness is spreading faster. As they left the Admiral's office, Day felt his communicator buzz. A message from Earth, from his daughter. A video file. He played it. His daughter's face appeared, smiling, holding up a drawing. It showed a spaceship fighting against a black cloud. The ship was firing stars at the darkness. I drew you fighting the bad thing, Daddy. She said, you're going to win because you're the bravest pilot ever. The message ended. Day closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Let's go find that ghost ship, he said. The dead zone earned its name honestly. Captain Day watched the navigation screens as the stellar dawn moved through the region, where space itself seemed broken. Gravity waves twisted and pulled at the ship. Stars appeared in wrong places. Time moved strangely here. Reduce speed to 1/4. Day ordered. Bora, keep the shields at maximum. If we hit a gravity well wrong, it'll tear us apart. Bora worked at her station with steady hands. Shields holding. But, Captain, I'm detecting something strange. There's a clear path through the anomalies. Like something carved a tunnel through the chaos. Dr. Hannah looked up from her sensors. She's right. This path is old. Maybe 200 years old. Something big came through here and the space hasn't healed yet. The Indomitable, Day said. Follow the path. Take us in. They traveled for 3 hours through the twisted space. The crew remained silent, focused. Every person knew that one mistake would kill them all. Finally, Hannah's sensors began beeping rapidly. Contact. I've got something. Massive metal signature. It's a ship. Dead ahead. On the main screen, the darkness of space parted. And there it was. The Indomitable floated in the void like a sleeping giant. The ship was enormous, twice the size of the stellar dawn. Its hull was dark gray, covered in strange patterns that seemed to absorb light. Weapons ports lined every surface, but there were no lights, no power signatures, no heat. The ship looked dead. It's beautiful, Bolral whispered. It's terrifying. Set engineer Sung from his station. Sung was a practical man, good with machines, suspicious of legends. That ship was built for war. Look at those weapons. Earth built this thing to kill. Earth built it to survive. They corrected. The first contact war wasn't our choice. We were attacked. The Indomitable was our answer. They brought the stellar dawn alongside the ghost ship. They assembled a boarding team. Himself, Bora, Hannah, Sung, and 4 security officers. They suited up and crossed through the airlock tube. The moment they stepped onto the Indomitable, he felt something wrong. The air was cold, too cold. His suit sensors showed atmosphere, but it was thin, barely breathable. Emergency lights flickered weakly along the corridors, casting strange shadows. How is there still power after 200 years? Sung asked. The ship was designed to last, Bora said. She touched the wall gently. These hulls are made of self-repairing metal. The reactor core was supposed to run for 1,000 years. They moved through the silent corridors. Everything was preserved perfectly, as if the crew had just left yesterday. Coffee cups sat on tables. Jackets hung on hooks. In the crew quarters, Hannah found photographs of families pinned to walls. These people had lives. She said softly. Children, parents waiting for them to come home. What happened to them? One of the security officers asked. No one had an answer. They reached the bridge. The command center was massive, with stations for dozens of crew members. But it was empty. At the captain's chair, they found a data pad. The screen was still active, showing a personal log. He played it. A man's face appeared. He looked tired, scared, but determined. This is Captain Quan of the Indomitable. If you're watching this, then you found my ship. Good. That means humanity survived. Listen carefully. We caught something during the war. The enemy deployed a weapon, a living darkness that consumed everything it touched. We managed to trap it, but we couldn't destroy it. So I made a choice. The recording flickered. Captain Quan looked directly at the camera. I merged the ship's systems with the containment field. Made myself part of the prison. The darkness is locked in the core. As long as the ship has power, it stays trapped. But if you're here, then something went wrong. The darkness must be free again. The recording ended. Silence filled the bridge. Then Hannah spoke, her voice shaking. the darkness consuming the galaxy. It's the same thing. It has to be. How did it escape? Sung demanded. We need to get to the core, Day said. See what's left of the containment system. Maybe we can learn how to stop it. They descended into the ship's lower levels. The corridors grew darker, colder. The walls seemed to absorb their flashlight beams. Finally, they reached a massive door marked with warnings in 12 languages. This is it, Bora said. The reactor core, the heart of the ship, Sung worked on the lock. It took him 20 minutes to bypass the security systems. When the door finally opened, they saw something impossible. The core chamber was huge, big enough to hold a building. At the center floated a sphere of crackling energy, but inside the energy field was darkness. Pure, absolute darkness that hurt to look at. And surrounding the sphere were thousands of cables, all connected to a single chair. In the chair sat a skeleton wearing a captain's uniform. Captain Quan, Bora whispered. Day approached slowly. The skeleton's hands were still fused to the chair's armrests. The skull faced the darkness sphere, as if watching it even in death. He stayed here, Hannah said, tears in her eyes. For 200 years, watching, making sure it didn't escape. Then how did it get out? Sung asked. Suddenly, alarm screamed through the ship. Red lights flashed. The darkness sphere began to pulse. We've got company, shouted one of the security officers. Ships approaching fast. On Sung's portable scanner, they saw them, 12 Velmari warships dropping out of hyperspace around the Indomitable. Day's communicator crackled. Eldamaros's voice came through, cold and angry. Captain Day, step away from that ship immediately. The Indomitable is a threat to the entire galaxy. We are here to destroy it. You can't. Day shouted back. This ship contains the only information we have about the darkness. We need it. The darkness escaped from that cursed vessel 200 years ago, Morrow said. Captain Quan's containment field failed. The entity fled into space and has been growing in power ever since. The Indomitable is the source of this catastrophe. Humanity's arrogance caused this, and now we will end it. The Velmari ships powered up their weapons. Get back to the Stellar Dawn. Day ordered his team. Now, they ran through the corridors. Behind them, the ship shook as the Velmari opened fire. Explosions rocked the hull. The ancient metal groaned under the assault. Sung stumbled. A ceiling panel fell, crushing his legs. He screamed, "Help me!" He cried. Day and Bora ran back. They tried to lift the panel, but it was too heavy. Sung's suit was breached. Blood spread across the floor. Go, Sung gasped. Save the ship. Save Earth. We're not leaving you. Day pulled harder at the panel. The ship shook again. More ceiling panels fell. The corridor was collapsing. Sung reached out with a bloody hand and pressed a button on a nearby control panel. Something deep in the ship hummed to life. I activated the emergency protocols. Sung whispered, "Whatever happens now, it's out of our hands." His eyes closed. His hand fell. Day stood there, frozen. Bora pulled at his arm. "Captain, we have to go," they ran. The ship was waking up around them. Lights blazed to life. Systems activated. The dead ship was becoming alive again. They reached the airlock and stumbled back onto the stellar dawn. They ordered the crew to disconnect and pull away. On the main screen, they watched as the Indomitable transformed. Its hull began to glow. The weapons ports opened, and the ship turned to face the Velmari fleet. Then a voice spoke through every speaker on both ships. A voice that had been silent for 200 years. "This is Captain Quan of Earth's Indomitable. I don't know how long I was asleep, but I'm awake now, and I remember everything." They stared at the screen in disbelief. "That's impossible. He's dead. We saw his body. His body died," Hannah said, understanding dawning in her eyes. "But his mind, his consciousness, he uploaded himself into the ship. He became the ship. He's been here all along, waiting." The Indomitable moved with grace that no ship its size should possess. It dodged the Velmari weapons fire like a dancer. Then it fired back. Beams of brilliant white light struck the Velmari ships, not to destroy them, but to disable them. Within seconds, the ancient fleet was powerless, drifting. "Captain Day," Quan's voice said, "thank you for waking me. We have work to do. The darkness is still out there, and I know how to stop it, but I can't do it alone. Will you help me?" Day looked at his crew, at Bora, standing strong despite the horror they'd witnessed, at Hannah, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities, at the empty seat where Sung should have been. "Tell us what you need," Day said. The Indomitable hung in space, alive again after 2 centuries of sleep. Inside the stellar dawn, Captain Day stared at the communications screen where Captain Quan's face appeared. It wasn't the skeleton they'd found. It was a digital projection showing Quan as he had looked in life, strong, determined, human. "You've been part of the ship this whole time?" Day asked. "Yes," Quan said. "When I realized the containment field couldn't hold the darkness forever, I made a choice. I uploaded my consciousness into the ship's computer core. My body died, but my mind lived on. For 200 years, I've been studying the entity, learning its patterns, understanding what it is." Dr. Hannah leaned forward. "What is it? Where did it come from?" "It's not from our universe," Quan said. "It fell through a tear in space during the Contact War. One of the alien weapons ripped open a hole between dimensions. The entity came through. It's been trying to find its way home ever since, by destroying star systems." Bora demanded. "It doesn't understand what it's doing. Imagine being trapped in a place where you don't belong, where the very physics of reality feel wrong. The entity feeds on light because that's the only energy in our universe, similar to what exists in its home dimension. It's trying to gather enough power to break through back to where it belongs. Day felt his anger rising, so it's killing billions of innocent people by accident. Yes, and if we don't help it get home, it will eventually consume the entire galaxy. Not out of malice, out of desperation. Before Day could respond, his communicator exploded with signals. The Valmari ships were recovering from the Indomitable's attack, and they weren't alone anymore. Dozens of Coalition warships were dropping out of hyperspace. A new face appeared on the screen. Admiral Yun, Captain Day. You are ordered to surrender immediately. The Council has issued an execution order for the Indomitable. That ship is too dangerous to exist. Sir, you sent me to find it. That was before the Council learned the truth, Yun said. And Day could hear the defeat in his voice. The Valmari convinced them. They showed evidence that the darkness spread from this location 200 years ago. They blame Earth. They blame humanity for this catastrophe. If you don't surrender the ship, they'll consider it an act of war. We didn't cause this. Day shouted. It doesn't matter, Yun said sadly. Earth is young, weak. We have 12 colony worlds and a few hundred ships. The Coalition has thousands of worlds and millions of ships. If they decide to destroy us, they can. I'm sorry, Day, but you have to give up the Indomitable. It's the only way to save Earth. The transmission ended. Day stood in silence. Around him, his crew watched, waiting for orders. He looked at Bora. His first officer had been quiet through all of this, her face unreadable. Bora, he said quietly, what do you think? She took a deep breath. I think it's time I told you the truth. My full name is Bora Kwan. Captain Kwan was my great-great-grandfather. Everyone stared at her. I've carried his genetic markers, she continued. Markers he encoded into his DNA before he uploaded himself into the ship. Markers that would activate the Indomitable if they ever came near it. That's why I joined your crew 3 years ago. That's why I pushed for this assignment. I knew we'd end up here. You used me, Day said, feeling betrayed. I saved you, Bora corrected. Do you think it's coincidence that your crew has survived impossible missions? That we always seem to find the right solution at the right time? The Indomitable has been watching, protecting, preparing you for this moment. Captain Kwan's face appeared again. She's telling the truth. Day, I've been guiding you from the shadows for years. You're the best captain in the human fleet. More importantly, you're a good man. The kind of person who tries to save everyone. That's what we need now. You should have told me, Day said. Would you have believed me? Day had no answer. The Coalition fleet was surrounding them, weapons charging. Time was running out. Captain Kwan said, I can open a gateway to where the entity lives, but the ship can't do it alone. The Indomitable needs upgrades. power, and time. If the coalition destroys us now, billions more will die. What do you need? I need Bora. Her genetic code is the key to unlocking the ship's full capabilities. She needs to merge with the command center, become part of the Indomitable like I did. Bora didn't hesitate. I'll do it. No, Day said. There has to be another way. There isn't, Bora said gently. She touched his shoulder. I've known this was coming my whole life. Every member of my family has carried this burden. The knowledge that someday we might have to give ourselves to save others. I'm ready. Hannah stepped forward. Wait, if you merge with the ship, what happens to you? Will you still be you? My body will die, Bora said, but my mind will live on in the ship with my great-great-grandfather. We'll be together again. The coalition fleet sent a final warning. 60 seconds to surrender. Day made his choice. Do it, he said. But we're coming with you. The Stellar Dawn will escort the Indomitable. Whatever happens, we face it together. Quan nodded. Transfer your crew to the Indomitable. Your ship is too small for what's coming. They moved quickly. The entire crew of the Stellar Dawn boarded the massive warship. As the last person crossed over, Bora walked to the command center. She sat in the captain's chair, the same chair where Quan's body had died 2 centuries ago. I'm scared, she admitted. So was I, Quan's voice said softly. But you're not alone. I'm here. I'll guide you through. Bora placed her hands on the armrests. Needles extended from the chair, piercing her skin. She gasped in pain. Then the pain changed to something else. Her eyes began to glow. Her body became still. Bora, Day called out, I'm here, she said. But her voice came from the ship's speakers now, not from her mouth. I can feel everything. The ship, the stars, the darkness between them. It's beautiful. Her body slumped in the chair, dead. But her consciousness lived on. The Indomitable transformed. Their hulls shifted, forming new weapon ports. Energy cores activated that had been dormant for centuries. The ship became something more than it had been. A perfect fusion of human consciousness and machine. Coalition fleet. This is the Indomitable. Bora's voice announced through every speaker in every ship. Stand down. We're going into the darkness to end this. Try to stop us, and we'll go through you. The Velmari responded by opening fire. The Indomitable moved, faster than any ship its size should move. It dodged the incoming fire and struck back. But it didn't destroy the attacking ships. Instead, it disabled them with surgical precision. Engines destroyed, weapons offline, but crews left alive. We're not murderers, Quan's voice said. That's not the human way. The coalition fleet hesitated. They had orders to destroy the Indomitable, but they'd never seen a ship move like this. Fight like this. It was clear that if the Indomitable wanted to kill them all, it could. Elder Moros appeared on the main screen. You're making a mistake. The darkness cannot be reasoned with. It cannot be stopped. You're going to die, and you'll achieve nothing. Maybe, Day said. But we have to try. That's what humans do. We try. Your children, Morrow said with contempt. You've been in space for 3 centuries. My people have sailed the stars for 10 million years. We know what's possible and what isn't. You're throwing your lives away on a fantasy. Then watch us, Day said. Watch what children can do. The Indomitable turned away from the Coalition fleet. Its engines blazed with power, and it flew straight toward the spreading darkness. Behind them, the Coalition fleet held position. Some ships wanted to follow. Others wanted to stop them, but none moved. They simply watched as the ghost ship from Earth's past flew toward its destiny. Inside the Indomitable, Day gathered his remaining crew. They were scared. They had just watched Bora die to save them. Many wondered if they would be next. I won't lie to you, Day said. What we're about to do is dangerous. We might not survive, but if we do nothing, the galaxy dies. Earth dies. Everyone we love dies. So we go forward. We face the darkness, and we find a way to bring the light back. Hannah raised her hand. Captain, what if we fail? Then we fail trying, Day said. And that's better than not trying at all. The Indomitable reached the edge of the darkness. The sensor showed nothing ahead, just void. Absolute nothing. Are you ready? Bora's voice asked. No, Day admitted. But let's go anyway. The ship crossed into the darkness, and all the stars went out. Inside the darkness, nothing made sense. Captain Day looked at his hands and saw them fading, becoming transparent. The walls of the Indomitable seemed to breathe. Time moved strangely, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes backward. Stay focused. Bora's voice echoed through the ship. The darkness affects perception. Trust your instruments, not your eyes. But the instruments showed impossible things. The ship was moving forward and backward at the same time. They were in multiple places at once. Reality itself had broken down. Dr. Hannah worked frantically at her station, trying to make sense of the sensor data. Captain, the physics here are completely different. Matter and energy don't follow our universe's rules. It's like we've entered a place where the laws of nature are rewritten. Can the ship handle it? Day asked. The Indomitable was designed to operate in normal space. Quan's voice answered. But with Bora's consciousness merged with mine, we're adapting, learning. We can navigate this. But it takes all our concentration. A young pilot named Ty sat at the helm, his hands shaking on the controls. He was barely 25 years old, fresh from the academy. This was his first deep space mission. Now he was flying through a nightmare. Sir, the helm isn't responding normally, Ty said, voice cracking. When I turn left, the ship goes up. When I go forward, we spin. Don't fight it, Bora said gently. Feel the darkness. Let it guide you. I don't understand. Close your eyes. Stop thinking. Just feel. Ty closed his eyes. His hands moved across the controls, no longer trying to force the ship where logic said it should go. Instead, he let instinct guide him, and suddenly the ship moved smoothly through the void. How are you doing that? Day asked, amazed. Ty opened his eyes, surprised. I don't know. It's like the darkness is singing to me, showing me the way. Hannah checked her readings. His brain waves are synchronizing with the entity's energy patterns. Captain, I think humans have an ability other species don't. Our minds are chaotic, emotional. That chaos lets us interface with this place in ways pure logic cannot. Deeper they went. The darkness pressed against the ship's hull. Day could hear it now, not with his ears, but in his mind. A sound like whale songs mixed with thunder. The entity was aware of them. Watching them, then the entity spoke. It didn't use words. It couldn't. Language didn't exist in its home dimension. Instead, it sent feelings, images, sensations directly into their minds. They felt it all: loneliness beyond measure, confusion, fear. The entity had been lost for so long. It had tried to find its way home by consuming energy, not understanding that each star it consumed held billions of lives. It knew it was hurting things, but it couldn't stop. It was dying, starving, desperate. It's just scared, Hannah whispered, tears streaming down her face. She felt the entity's pain as if it were her own. It's like a lost child that's killed trillions, a security officer said harshly. Because it doesn't know better, Day said, understanding now. In its home dimension, consuming energy probably doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't understand that stars here are different, that life exists around them. Can we show it? Hannah asked. Can we make it understand? The Indomitable was built for that purpose, Quan said. Not as a weapon, as a bridge. That's what I discovered during my 200 years of study. The ship can create a gateway between dimensions, but I needed more power, more consciousness. Now, with Bora, we have what we need. Alarm suddenly screamed. New contacts on the sensors. Ships were entering the darkness behind them. It's the Velmari fleet, Bora reported. They followed us in. They're charging their weapons. On the screen, Elder Moros appeared. His ancient face was twisted with fear and anger. Captain Day, you've doomed us all by entering this place. We cannot allow you to continue. The entity must be destroyed, along with your ship. You can't destroy it. Day shouted. The darkness isn't evil. It's lost. We can help it find its way home. You're a fool. The darkness will consume everything. The only solution is complete annihilation. We've prepared for this. Our ships carry singularity weapons. They will collapse this entire region of space into a black hole. The entity will be trapped forever, and everyone inside dies, including us, a necessary sacrifice, Morrow said coldly. 10 million years we've guided this galaxy. We know what must be done. Your species is too young to understand. The Velmari ships moved into position. 12 vessels forming a perfect sphere. They began to glow with terrible energy. They're activating the weapons, Boras said urgently. We have 3 minutes before they fire. They made a decision. Quan, Bora, can you open the gateway? Yes, they said together, but it takes time. We need to calibrate the dimensional frequencies, create the exact resonance pattern. How long? 5 minutes. Day looked at his crew, at Hannah, brilliant and compassionate, at young Tai, who could navigate the impossible, at the others who had trusted him enough to follow him into darkness. Then we buy you 5 minutes. Day said. He opened the ship-wide channel. All hands, battle stations. Prepare for combat. The Indomitable turned to face the Velmari fleet. 12 ancient warships against 1 ghost ship from Earth. It should have been no contest. The Velmari had weapons that could shatter planets. They had shields that could withstand stars exploding. But the Indomitable had something they didn't. Human stubbornness. Fire. They ordered. The ship's weapons blazed. Not the killing blows it was capable of, but precise strikes, targeting the singularity weapons, trying to disable them before they could fire. The Velmari returned fire. Energy beams struck the Indomitable's shields. The ship shook. Hull plates buckled. Systems overloaded. Shields at 60%, a crew member called out. 40%, 20%. Tai flew the ship in ways that shouldn't be possible. He dove and spun through the darkness, using the entity's own energy currents to evade the incoming fire. His hands moved across the controls like a musician playing an instrument, dancing with death, but there were too many enemy ships. Too much firepower. Captain, I can't hold them off. Tai cried. You don't have to, Day said. You just have to survive. Keep flying. The Indomitable twisted through space, dodging and weaving. Its weapons fired constantly, trying to slow the Velmari advance. But ship by ship, the ancient fleet closed in. Then something unexpected happened. The darkness moved. The entity had been watching, learning, understanding. These ships were trying to hurt the ones who had come to help it. The ones who felt like it did scared, lost, but trying anyway. The entity wrapped itself around the Velmari fleet, not to consume them, to hold them, to protect the Indomitable. What's happening? Morrow shouted. The entity is interfering with our systems. It's attacking us. It's not attacking, Hannah said, reading the energy patterns. It's embracing you, like a child hugging someone. It doesn't understand its own strength. The Velmari ships tried to break free, but the darkness held them gently. firmly, their weapons powered down, their shields collapsed. They floated helplessly, gateway ready, Bo-Ra announced. Activating now, the Indomitable's hull began to glow. Patterns of light spread across its surface, forming circuits of pure energy. At the ship's center, space itself began to tear. A rift opened, showing something beyond the place of colors that had no names. Sounds that weren't sound. A dimension so alien it hurt to perceive. "That's home," Hannah whispered, feeling the entity's joy. "That's where it belongs." The entity moved toward the rift, then stopped. It sent another feeling into their minds: gratitude, apology, sadness for the harm it had caused. "It's saying thank you," Ty said, tears streaming down his face. "And goodbye." The entity flowed through the rift. As it passed from one dimension to another, it released all the energy it had consumed. Light burst from the gateway. Stars that had gone dark began to shine again. Systems that had been destroyed reformed. It was giving back everything it had taken. The gateway closed. The darkness was gone. For the first time in weeks, they could see stars clearly. Normal, beautiful stars. "We did it," he said, hardly believing it. But there was no time to celebrate. The Indomitable systems were failing. The effort of opening the gateway had drained nearly all its power. Shields offline, weapons offline, life support failing, and the Velmari were recovering. Captain Quan's voice said weakly, "We don't have the power to fight or run. We're defenseless." Moros appeared on screen. His face was twisted with rage. "You've interfered with our justice, shown weakness to a threat. Humanity will pay for this." His ships powered up their weapons. They stood straight. "Then fire. But know this, we saved the galaxy today. History will remember that. History is written by survivors," Morrow said. "Fire." But before the Valmari could shoot, space lit up with thousands of new contacts. Coalition ships were arriving. Human ships. Ships from dozens of other species. All jumping in together. And at the head of the fleet was the Stellar Dawn, rebuilt and upgraded, piloted by Admiral Yun himself.